it worked out for the best. And that's what I've learned in every situation I've been in. No matter how bad it gets, it always works out somehow, and it works out the way it was supposed to be. Everything really does happen or doesn't happen for a reason. That downfall with my baby, when I lost everything, had to come to a smaller suite, and that enabled me to fix my schedule, not work weekends, really focus on organizing my business better now, really tapping into learning my business so I can really learn how to be successful even just by myself. It will work out no matter how bad things are. Like, just don't give up and just keep pushing, because you will get to where you're supposed to be. Like, I promise. Because there's times that I really thought, like, this is it. Like, I'm not where I want to be. It's horrible. And then I was like, wow, that's why that happened. I had to go through that to get here.
What's up, Savage Boss Babes and Dudes? It's Diana inside the Savage Studio once again with another episode brought to you by Savage Coffee, now located inside the Boeing Center at Techport. And I'm super excited about my next guest. I know this episode is going to be one of the most memorable ones, because this guest is one that I've been planning for several weeks now, and I'm just really glad that she accepted the invitation to be here in the studio. So first off, 18 years in the hair game here in San Antonio. Her name is Atalaya Figueroa, and she is known on social media as Hair by a Blonde. So welcome. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be here. Yes. And ever since I heard your name, I have been intrigued by how unique and how beautiful of a name it is. So I want to start off by asking you, what is the meaning of your name?
Honestly, my mom said she saw it in a book and liked it. I think it has a meaning in Spanish and in Arabic. I know in Spanish it's watchtower, nothing crazy, but I don't know what it means in Arabic.
So I actually did the homework. Oh, okay. I went and researched it. And yes, so it translates in English to watchtower, which could be like observing, to watch over, to guard, which maybe that is in reference to how you are. And then in Hebrew, so it's Atalaya, it's pronounced Atalaya.
Oh, okay.
And she was actually the daughter of a king and queen, and her name stands for the Lord is exalted. So let me tell you, I mean, maybe the Holy Spirit is going to overcome this episode, and we're going to make a huge impact on the people who are listening and the people who are viewing. Yes, the Lord is exalted.
I never knew that. Wow.
Oh, and by the way, she was a queen.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yes, put some respect in her name. So originally from Floresville, and now residing here in San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm off. I don't know what that's considered. I've been around San Antonio all my life, but right now we're off, I guess, the northwest side. But I grew up in Floresville, closer to the southeast side. So the southeast side still has my heart.
What's
the
southeast side. So I know that you've been featured on so many social media outlets, so many different outlets, media outlets. Your work is well known here in San Antonio and well respected. What does that mean to you? How do you feel when you see, people recognizing your work and highlighting what you do?
It's definitely surreal sometimes, because I never intended for that. I just wanted to do my craft and make money. So it's really humbling, and I feel it's honestly very surreal for me, because I'm like, well, I'm just a hairstylist. Like, I just do hair, and it's amazing that people do get inspired by some of the things that I've been through and still go through. So I think I just still feel like, why me? Because I'm just a regular old girl. Like, so sometimes it's just like, wow, I didn't think even in my industry that can happen. Like, you can still inspire people, when I was just thinking I'm just gonna do your hair.
So you've shared that your life was no fairy tale, and you've actually described experiences that you faced that if faced by other people, sometimes that would make them a statistic, something that didn't happen to you.
Yes. I definitely have had like, I mean, I've gone through sexual assault. I've had a mother that was an addict. I didn't grow up with much. I think the path that would have been easy for me would have been to just kind of be like that, like doing drugs, go down to nothing, just kind of be doing whatever. And instead, it really made me not want to do that and really try to get away from that and make something of my life. So I use it as a example of what I don't want to do or who I don't want to be. So,
What was it growing up for you? What was your family dynamic like?
I mean, it's really sometimes hard to like say, okay, because it's not like I was like in the streets or didn't have, a place to call home. And it's not like my mom was like, didn't take care of us, but it was definitely chaotic. It was, my mom definitely caused a lot of chaos in my life. And I felt like I had to be the parent very young, taking care of her, making sure she's okay.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother.
So it's just you and your younger brother?
Yes, be my younger brother. And then I have an older sister who is my stepsister, but she's through my dad's side. So it was me, my stepdad, and my brother. And then my mom and dad were divorced when I was like 2. So I never knew them together. But they co-parented really well, and they were friendly. Like, I mean, they hung out and would do things together. So
you had a good relationship both with your mom and your dad?
they were both present. Yeah.
Okay.
Like they weren't like not like my dad was in my life. But it was just very difficult because I felt like I was on two sides of my mom, where I grew up, we didn't have a lot of money. There was a lot of struggles, I said, like with her addiction, just my life was chaos. And then on the other hand, my dad was very successful. Him and my stepmom and my stepsister, he did a lot, so it was very difficult sometimes because I felt like I didn't belong either way. And then also two different cultures. Like my mom is Mexican and then my dad is half black, half white. So I always kind of felt like, just where do I belong,
Yeah.
And it was just really hard sometimes, especially growing up in a small town and there's not a lot of kids that are mixed, There were a few of us, but we definitely stood out.
Did that take a toll on you and your brother?
I think my brother and me, we definitely don't have a close relationship. We're almost 9 years apart. It definitely was hard growing up, I think, because one, I felt like he definitely got more of the easier life. I mean, yes, we both were in the same home and kind of had some of the same struggles, but he was sheltered from a lot of the things that were
You
going
were
on.
exposed to.
Yes. And then also too, as you get big, it is kind of hard to realize like, well, he has his mom and dad together. Like I don't have mine. I kind of sometimes felt like the odd one out because they're all the same name and and it's just me. So, and I'm the one that has to go like back and forth sometimes. So
Did you ever make anybody aware of how you felt growing up?
no,
Like, did you ever have were you ever able to talk to your dad about it or talk to your mom about it or anybody else and tell them,
dad?
Hey, this is how I feel?
No, it's my mom. No, I would say the one person in my life that I would talk things about was my best friend. We've been best friends since we were like 14 years old and we're still best friends. So she was my constant in my life and the person that I could open up to about everything. But other than that, no. I feel like in both of those groups, like in Hispanic culture and in, as a minority, you don't really talk about things that you're feeling and my mom was very, you just didn't know the mood she would be in. And I was always very much of wanting to like protect her feelings. So I never disrespected my mom. I never tried to like hurt her. I always was like worried about her. And it took me until now to really confront both of my parents, um, till I was an adult in my late 30s to really tell them, I mean, how I feel, what happened, because even with my dad, as I grew up, I kind of held some resentment on him because he definitely provided for me when my mom needed him to. Um, but I think back when we first moved to Floresville, I grew up in a like literally a shack. I mean, it had like tin roof, built, no AC, no heat. I mean,
And this was just you and your mom.
yes, because me and my mom were in Austin, and then she moved. I guess she met my stepdad, and she moved me to Floresville when I was 5. So we go from like an apartment to this out in the country little shack. Like it literally was. I mean, had
And you were
rats.
5 years old?
And it had like rats and roaches, and it was just like horrible. And I think back, like when I think back now as an adult, especially now that I have kids, my dad was successful. And I think, why did you leave me there? You saw when you would pick me up
The conditions.
the conditions I lived in, and you left me, while you're over here in a nice home, doing well. And I mean, that's kind of the struggles we're at right now. I don't talk to my dad, right? And it's been over a year because I did finally kind of let him know how I felt growing up, things that happened to me being out there. And he's just very old school. He doesn't, I don't know.
Were you hurt by his reaction, by the way that
Oh,
he
yeah.
responded?
Yes, because I mean, he just like called me names and said I'm disrespectful. And I'm like, I'm telling you I'm hurt, and you're getting like offended and going off on me. So my dad's very prideful. And so I just finally said, you know what, then I don't need you anymore. I mean, I don't need to feel like anxious, and that's you. Like if you feel like you're in the right, then that's on you, and I'm just gonna step away. But to my dad, being a financial provider, that was like being a good parent. And then taking me on his weekends, and like every other weekend, the summers. But I think of my kids now, and I lived in that house for like almost 5 years before we finally moved to a trailer. When my brother was born, we bought a trailer, like a used mobile home. And that was way better than what we lived in before. But I just think like I would never leave my kids somewhere like that,
Regardless of what was going on with your spouse or ex-spouse or whatever at the
yeah,
moment.
I don't know.
It's just
and he doesn't see it that way. And, so I guess we can just agree to disagree. I don't know, and I just feel like a lot of times he could have, like, why didn't he take me? Like, I don't know. It's weird that in my late 30s, it's like hitting me, like really making me think about my life and things that could have been different, because my mom had me in so much chaos growing up. And especially I think being the oldest, there was just more expected of me. And I don't know, it was just so like, it's weird how once you have your own kids and as you get older, you really like your peace is really important to you. And that means even if it's your family, you got to cut them off. And I had to stand my ground and put my boundaries there. I didn't talk to my mom for over a year. Also, we just started kind of reconnecting. We did I've been in therapy since last year for the first time ever in my life. But she did do a session with me and it went well, but my mom also is very deflective. She tries to sugarcoat things and act like things were so amazing. And it's like, you're not hearing me. Like, you're so worried about what people are going to think of you instead of focusing on how I feel and what that did to me. Like, just because I'm strong or because I didn't go down a bad path and I'm successful and I worked hard doesn't mean that things that happened to me didn't affect me. You know, I think people confuse that with people who handle trauma well. You know, they think like, oh, well, you're fine, like you did it. And it's like, yeah, because I had no choice, but I'm really not okay just because I can put on a mask and act like I'm okay. You know, I'm just like a functioning, I just have functioning anxiety, and I can just function in tough situations because that's all I know. I've been in survival mode since I was a kid, you know, so that's I just like have blinders on when it comes to that, and I just kind of have to push everything to the side. And I think she confuses that with me being okay, you know. So it's kind of hard for her to acknowledge the things that happened, you know, and really apologize for them, or she just wants to like be okay, like sweep it under the rug and be okay. And it's like,
What was the dynamic between you and your mom when you were growing up and once your dad was no longer in the picture?
it was very like just kind of letting her walk over me. Growing up, I was very much a pushover, and life definitely changed that. Just years of, you know, people walking over me and just kind of being like a yes person. And
Was your mom the first one that you feel that did that? And it kind of led to
yes,
you allowing other people to do that?
yes, because she'll make me feel bad, or, you know, make it seem like it was my fault, you know, her actions because of what I did, or, you know. And so just to not try to not have her moods and no telling what she was going to do, I just kind of let her do what she was going to do, say what she was going to say, you know. Sometimes it would get too much where I would like tell her back, and then we're fighting, like yelling, you know, and she can get very aggressive. So it's just like, just to keep the peace for her, I would just kind of just let her do her thing, like, you know, and stay quiet and like hold it in, you know. And I think that that's why people always think I'm fine, because I just kind of like know how to suppress a lot of things and just keep a straight face, you know? So I did that a lot with her.
What was your mindset like growing up in regards to what you were seeing, what was going around, the chaos that you've mentioned? I mean, what were you thinking growing up? Like, what was your mentality as other kids are thinking about what they want to be when they grow up?
Honestly, I think I just thought it was normal. Like, I think, and then where we grew up, a lot of us were in those kind of toxic situations. Like, a lot of us had toxic families. So we just thought like that's just how it is, you know? Like, I don't know. I never really thought about, like, I think I just thought day by day, like,
You really never thought about the future.
just kind of like, I
Really?
know I don't want to be here.
Really?
Like, I just want to leave. Like, I'm going to leave as soon as I can. And hopefully just keep it going and keep it moving. Yeah.
What were you thinking that you were going to do when you got to that point where you can get out?
I
Like,
knew I
what
was
was
wanting to
next?
do hair. So I knew that since I was in high school. I taught myself, and I would do people's hair for prom. And, you know, back then, though, hair was definitely not glamorous the way it is now. It wasn't like seen as an elite industry. It was more like, oh, you couldn't go to college, so you just went to hair school. But I loved it, and I was just like, I'm gonna do this. And I think I just still was just like, as long as I can pay my bills and have better than what I grew up in, that's an accomplishment for me. I just think I thought like day by day, you know, and moment by moment, and just, I don't know. It's weird because I definitely was still in a small town mind frame when I first graduated and left my house. I moved out and still lived in Floresville. But I worked in Alamo Heights because I knew I didn't want to, I wanted to be at a high-end salon because this was my career. I always knew that, but I still was afraid to leave Floresville, you know, and I didn't even want to move to San Antonio like yet. Like I was like, but I knew I didn't want to be at home. So I had an apartment in Floresville and I did the drive for like almost 5 years back and forth every day. So, you know, but because it gave me that independence. But
at what age did you?
I graduated in May. So I was 18. I was going to be 19 when I moved out of my house.
And what was the response of your mom? Was she okay with you leaving already?
Yeah.
And you were just ready and done with it.
Yeah, she didn't stop. I mean, to her that was like good, you know, that I can do that on my own. So it was good. I mean, it was good for me to get away from that environment, but I still feel like for years my mom still had like a hold on me, even as like when I was an adult and on my own. You know, until until like my 30s when I finally was like, no, like I'm done with you.
So this business mentality, that's something that you formed on your own.
When I was working in Alamo Heights, in 2010, I met my oldest daughter's dad, and that same year, I ended up moving to North Carolina. So I was in North Carolina for like 3 years.
Why North Carolina?
Because he was in the military.
Okay.
And we got stationed in Fayetteville. And I transferred my license over there and I started working at a salon over there. And that's when it really hit me like, wow, I can make money anywhere. Why did I stay living in Floresville? Like it got me out of my shell to not be afraid.
So you were afraid of moving to San Antonio, and here you are moving a whole different state.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what started that like light bulb in me. Like I can do this anywhere I go and make good money. So then in 2013, I decided to leave my ex-husband and come back home, but I had nothing. I just had a 18-month-old baby and my little car, and I just packed whatever I could and I drove 18 hours home and was like, okay, I need to get a job. So
home being back to Florida?
I went back to my mom's because I had nothing. Like I didn't even have money. I just had a couple of credit cards and I had to figure it out because my oldest's dad did not help me. I mean,
that just didn't end well.
Yeah. And that was just a whole other story because he wasn't like a good person. He wasn't a good dad. Like he wasn't a good partner, you know? So I started from square one again and it really sucked. That was a really hard time for me because
how old were you?
I was 26 when I came back.
26 with an 18.
And I left when I was 23.
With an 18-month-old baby.
26, yeah. She was almost going to be 2, or she might have just turned 2. But that was a really hard time because when I was working at the salon in Alamo Heights that I had been at, I was making really good money. And I had a good clientele. Like, I had just
This was before you left?
Before I left,
okay.
Yeah.
So you pretty much had set yourself up here. Then you make this move over there.
And I lose everything. And then I come back and I lost everything and I had to start completely over, and now with a baby and, I'm a single mom and it was just really difficult.
At this time, the relationship with your mom isn't that good yet either,
I mean,
right?
we're just not good, but it's more, like I said, like I would just kind of let her do what she does and really not say anything. But even when I moved back in with her, I was like, oh my God, in 6 months, I'm getting out of here. Like, I cannot be here. And
you just knew it wasn't a good place
yes,
for you.
and it wasn't. It was just so, again, the chaos. And now I have my daughter with me, and it was like I have my daughter with me. I'm in a depression because I just lost everything. I'm trying to figure my life out now. I don't even know what to do. Like, all I know is to work. So, I started working at a salon with my old mentor. She had opened her own salon when I was in North Carolina, so I came and worked for her. But because I wanted to get out of the house, I wanted to just do my own thing. I worked 3 jobs. So I worked at the salon. I worked at HEB in the cosmetics department. And then I was also a door girl in the nightlife on the weekends, also downtown.
Wow.
So,
And who was helping you during this time? Because, I mean, you have an 18-month-old baby.
my mom would help sometimes. But it was like my mom would help, but then it would come with complaining or, when she was in her mood, it was just like, ugh. So I finally got my daughter in daycare and my mom would help with that. So to afford daycare, I did her part-time. So I did her 3 days a week. So Wednesday night, I would take her to my mom's house in Floresville, come back to San Antonio, go to work Thursday nights, go back and get her and then take her to daycare in the morning. So it was just like back and forth. Because by this time I lived in San Antonio. I got my own apartment. I mean, I didn't have furniture or anything, but I was just like, I don't care. I'm on my own. I'm in my own place. I'm away from, my oldest's dad. I'm away from my mom. But it was hard because I worked 7 days a week between all 3 jobs for like almost over a year. And it was exhausting, but I was just determined to just, until I could make enough money doing hair again and build a clientele. I had to build from scratch. Like I didn't know anybody. And even then, social media to me, I didn't have social media. Or I might have had Facebook back then, but I didn't really know that like how to use it. And then I moved to another salon and I felt like I was getting burnt out. Like
Because you were working 7 days a week.
Yes. And
3 jobs.
And in the salon, I felt like getting clients, but I'm giving half my money away. So honestly, the business thing didn't even start until I was in that salon and the second salon I went to and really realizing like, I don't have benefits. I don't get paid vacation. So why not go on my own and still not get no benefits, but I can at least make my own schedule and, do what I want to do and the kind of clients I want to do. So by this time I was pregnant with my second daughter and I just said, I'm just going to go rent a suite, and if it doesn't work out, the worst that could happen is I have to go back to a salon. And that's not the worst if it is, so what
were you feeling like emotionally, mentally, physically during all this time? Because you had already walked into this situation with trauma, and then, were you healed from that trauma when you walked into this other set of trauma, or do you feel like it just piled on?
With the trauma, like with my daughter,
with your upbringing, and then the trauma that you had with everything that happened with your ex.
No.
And the situation that you were left. It just piled on.
Mm-hmm. And then I met my husband now, when my daughter was 3. And then, so then I got pregnant with my second daughter and that's when I went on my own. I just, was like, I'm just gonna, I never really knew what sweets were. So I was like, what is this? But I'm telling you, I think all my life I just kept moving. Like
just go.
Yeah. I just was like, it is what it is. Everyone has a story. Like you just got to keep going, and I didn't really focus on what I went through. And again, I think you don't think it's unnormal when you grow up like that for me, it was until I had my own kids is when I started feeling like, wow, I wouldn't put my daughters in that situation. Like when I would have to do this or do that and this happened to me and my mom had me in situations, I think I wouldn't have my kids in that situation. So I didn't think it was that bad until I had my own kids, and then you tell your story and people are like, that's not normal. Like, okay. I was like, oh, I thought we all go through, stuff. So
I think it's really hard for people, newcomers, and I include myself there because I've only been in business 3 years and I don't have a business background. I don't come from business, knowing anything business, So I think that it's really sometimes hard for us to be able to go on social media and see people be successful because you don't see the behind the scenes, you don't hear the stories such as yourself of the struggle and the things that you had to put up with or overcome or deal with. And when we get put in those situations, and I include myself, it takes you aback, it's like it makes you sometimes want to break down and just give up, because it's like, I didn't know this is what I signed up for. I didn't know this is what it was going to take.
Yeah.
But what are some of the examples of things that you had to endure in order to be able to create a business?
I mean, just like you, I don't have a business background. My family doesn't have a business background. I literally just learned as I go. And I always tell people that as well. Like, even in this year will be 8 years that I've been on my own. And I've had to start over like 3 times, like things came crashing down and then I had to figure it out, or I thought I was going to lose it all. And then
Give me an example of one of those times.
For instance, when I first went on my own, I had a partner and she was a friend. So we went together to rent a suite. And at the time I was on bankruptcy also. So when I was a single mom, I was trying to pay all my bills. I was working 3 jobs. I couldn't get assistance. So I was getting behind on car payments. I don't get child support, no help from anybody. So my car got repoed and I didn't know what to do. So I just like Googled, what do you do when your car gets repoed? And it kept popping up bankruptcy. So I filed bankruptcy. So because of that, it really hurt my credit. I was in the Chapter 13 bankruptcy, so I had to pay every month. I did it for 5 years. Well, I signed for 5 years, but I was able to pay it off in 4. But so for me to get a suite, my credit wouldn't have passed. But my friend, they went ahead and did it through her. So I was able to get in. And then things just didn't work out with me and her. It was the first time I realized, how being in business with friends or family, it can really hurt the dynamic when one person doesn't, I don't know what it, honestly, I don't even know what it was. I mean, she just started being different and weird. And so I was like, I'm just going to go on my own. So we part ways. We stayed in the same building, but went to our own single suite. So that was hard because it was like, okay, I'm on my own. Like, can I do it? Because I kind of felt like that was like my cushion a little bit. Like, at least we had each other to talk about things or like, hey, what do you think about this? So I was really worried. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just know how to do hair.
At this time, are you still on your own, or do you already have like your husband, like some kind of support?
I have my husband and I have my 2 daughters by this point, my oldest and then my middle child. So I had both of them and my husband.
What was your husband telling you when this went down?
I mean, he was just like, you can do it. You don't need her. And he felt like he could see it coming even before, so he just
but he was pushing you into like, hey, you can do it.
You can do this. Yeah. Like, you'll be fine. I mean,
had you ever had somebody like that before?
I think yes. And my best friend, she's always been like
in your corner rooting you
always on. Yeah. And like, I can literally call her for anything, and she's very like level-headed and really knows. I mean, she really grew up with me, and she was around my mom. Like, she really knows me deeply. And, I can be my true self with her and really express what I really feel. And she's never judged me. She's never made me feel, she always just gives me advice, whether I want to hear it or not. She's honest and going to tell me the truth, So she's always rooted for me and wanted me to do well. I mean, she's seen all my struggles, every downfall I've had. So I've always had her.
At this point, Do you feel like you could do it on your own?
No.
Did you have
I
any
was
confidence
so
in yourself?
scared. No. I was like, oh my God, like, how am I going to make it? You know, and I had barely, when I went by myself, that's when I barely opened up my Facebook again. I didn't have Facebook for like 3 years and did I just came up with hair by a blonde, and I was like, So when I went on my own, like by myself without my partner, I just started messaging random girls like, hey girl, I'm a hairstylist. I'll do your hair for free if you'll promote me. Like, I would just try to.
You just wanted to get people talking about you.
Yeah, and like post me, and a lot of them would be like, "Do I know you?" and leave me on red, and I was just like, ugh. But
you were hungry. You didn't care.
I just kept on. Yeah, I was like, I don't care how dumb I look. I'm just gonna keep asking until someone says yes. So I mean, I just kept on until I had a couple people that were like, yeah, one of them, she had a group at the time called Royal Slay. And I asked her name. Well, I asked Belinda. And then I talked to Esme, and she was like, yeah, you can post in my group and you can do my hair. And that really helped because it was like this big girl group on Facebook. And at the time I didn't really even know what groups were, like this and that, I was like, okay, whatever, and so that really kind of boosted me to get me seen, like out there, and kind of get my work starting out there. And then a few other ladies that helped me that had big followings, like they were like, okay, that's fine. And just, going to networking events and doing whatever it took, like just doing whatever it took. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I just said yes to everything. Yeah.
You've mentioned already some of the sacrifices and losses that you made, but do you feel like there's one in particular, or maybe one or two, that really made an impact on you to create your character and the person that you are today? Is there one that you're like, when I overcame this struggle or this situation, that's when I was like, I'm unstoppable?
I think when I came home with nothing and my baby, and when I was able to get my own place, make money, get in my own business, and then get off of bankruptcy and buy a home. I think I was like, I did it. It's weird because even though I've gone through worse things in my divorce, I feel like that was my biggest rock bottom for me. And to get out of that was such like I did it, because I literally had nothing when I came home. Like I had nothing. I had just my car and my baby, and like I never felt so helpless. And then being an adult, like, it was horrible. Like to me, it was like horrible having to ask for things. Like I'm not used to that. I've been working since I was 16. So it was that to me was my biggest like rock bottom, and then coming out of that.
You're really big on giving back to the community, and I see that all over your social media. I think that's awesome, and I think that not just myself, but I think a lot of us are curious to, what does that stem from? Like,
that's from the struggles I've had. I feel like even when I was a single mom, like I said, I couldn't get any help. Had to work 3 jobs, but I was losing my car. I couldn't pay my rent, but I made $50 over to get food stamps.
No way.
Yes. Like I couldn't get food stamps. I couldn't get Medicaid. I couldn't get rental assistance. I couldn't get daycare assistance.
Over $50.
Mm-hmm. So I just felt like there's people like me who are trying and who do come from backgrounds that aren't the best, and they're just trying to make a life for themselves. They're just trying to make money the right way. And this license has helped me make money in any situation. Um, I've been to another state, made money. I can make money with my license no matter where I go. So I didn't know how. I wanted to help people like me, but I didn't know how. So I was like, what can I do? And I was like, well, there's people that they can't get a loan for school. They can't get financial aid because maybe their background, maybe they have felonies, maybe they have, but they're still trying to fix their life. I mean, everyone deserves a second chance. I mean, we all have done things that we probably wish we wouldn't have done or made different decisions, but everyone deserves a chance to turn that around and make their life better. Or even like me, like I didn't have a good relationship with my parents, and some people, you can't get help for school because they go under your parents' income. But what if you don't talk to your parents? Like, what if you have no relationship with them? And I don't know. I just feel like there's that middle class of people that they make on paper enough where they can't get help, but they're still struggling. So I was like, well, I'm going to help people with school, because nobody can take that away from you. Like an education, nobody can rip that from you. Nobody can ever destroy that. Once you have a degree or a license, like no one can take that from you, and you can do big things with that. Just someone just has to believe in you.
What does being self-made mean to you, and how do you feel like your story exemplifies that?
For me, I think I'm definitely self-made because I didn't have like a trust fund. I don't have rich parents. Nobody helped me in my business. Like I didn't get a loan, I don't have a baby daddy or husband that like funded my business for me. It literally was me dollar per dollar. That's not to say though that I didn't have the support of my husband, because he didn't financially give me my business, I wouldn't have been able to work the days and hours I did if it wasn't for him taking care of my girls. Like I would do networking events. I would work 7 days a week in the suite till like midnight sometimes. And I wouldn't be able to do that if he wasn't there to help me with my kids, but other than that, like nobody gave me money to start this or a playbook or, I'm running the business that was already created from my family. Like it literally was just me and just figuring out day by day on how to keep it going.
You've mentioned in the past when you were going through all these struggles and having to start over, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can assume what your motives were to not give up, your kids, wanting to make a better life for them, and for yourself too. But now, so many years down the road and into your journey, what keeps you motivated now? What drives you?
Still my girls. Like I have 3 girls. I have all daughters, and I just don't want them to ever be in the situation that I was. I don't want them to rely on anybody. I don't want them to rely on a partner or a spouse. I want them to be strong and never allow them to lose themselves for anybody else. Like I want them to be strong enough to just know who you are and know your worth, and you don't need nobody but yourself. If you want someone, that's because you want them, but you don't need anybody. And I just want them to be strong, independent, kind ladies, that don't fall into the patterns that I've fallen into when I was growing up or a younger girl. And the story of so many of us who kind of let people disrespect us. And, it took us a while to know who we are and our worth. I don't want that for them. I want them to come out of it from the get-go, strong and knowing their worth. So I do it for them to know, like, you can do it because I did it and I'm doing this for you.
That's so awesome that you've developed that sense of mentality and that sense of wanting to parent your children that way, even though you didn't have that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not perfect. I definitely, I'm still even learning how to be a parent. I think even now, because my kids are getting bigger. I'm about to have a 13-year-old and that's new for me, like to have a teenager. I definitely acknowledge that some of my traumas and what I went through have affected me as a mother, and some of the ways I can be with them. I'm very hard. I feel like the negative of like in my my traumas is like I'm very much like, well, that's nothing. Like you can do it, because to me there's worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
maybe like minimizing.
Yeah. And I always tell people like, I feel like sometimes I'm not super empathetic with some situations because it's not that I don't care or I don't have a heart. It's just I feel like, well, get over it. Like that's nothing, But I need to learn that to me it may not be a big deal, but to them it is, and they want to be heard and their feelings are validated, just like I wanted my feelings validated too, and they weren't, but sometimes that's a struggle for me. Like just kind of when people play victim, and I don't think they're playing victim. I think I just say that because I'm thinking like, well, you can just move on, like go, but that's where I struggle a lot with. I think like me as a mother, as a woman, is like learning that not everyone handles their traumas the same or issues the same, and that's okay. Everyone's feelings are valid. That's definitely what I'm working on now, and patience.
What made you come to the realization that you needed therapy, and why at the point that you did? Because you mentioned you just started about a year ago.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I probably knew I always needed therapy. Like I'm sure, like I was like, but I think I was always afraid to go. First of all, it's weird, I think, to speak to someone you don't even know. I thought like, that's weird. I have my friend, like my friend can tell me, but it's not the same, I mean, and it's not fair to friends to always trauma dump on them either, like, but I think I just thought it was really, it'd be uncomfortable, and like, what am I going to say? And I thought, where am I going to start? I mean, we're going to be there for hours, like, and then one of my friends that I grew up with, she's also a client of mine. She's always talked to me about her therapy and her journey, and she gave me a resource to a center that is very affordable. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And then I pushed it off for a long time. And then I think I just finally, again, the issues with my parents, like I cut them off. Like I had enough of them. And I was like, the anxiety I felt from them and how bad it was affecting me, I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to deal with this. Like shutting down and just kind of like going into hiding is not the way to deal with this, because then I just internalize it and I don't fix it. I just, I'm okay. So I made a phone call and I made an appointment, and I even like called back like 3 times and was like, never mind. And then I would call and I was like,
put me back on the books.
Yeah, I do need it after all. And I just finally went, and it was really awkward at first. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and act like it's so amazing to speak to someone who has no idea who you are and doesn't know if they're judging you, even though they're not. But I just think everybody's always judging me, so I just assume. But it was also very freeing to speak freely and know that this person is not, a family
neutral.
friend.
Yeah, they're very neutral. Yeah, because they don't know anything about you.
Exactly. And he put a lot of things into perspective. Even that was kind of nerve wracking for me because my therapist was a man, and I wasn't sure if I wanted a man. I was like, I don't know, because of some the things I went through, especially with like being sexually assaulted for years by a man. I didn't think I would feel comfortable talking about that to a man. You know, like I think it was like scary for me in a sense, like being in a room by myself. Like, I don't know. It was weird, but I was like, maybe that's happening for a reason. You know, maybe that's for a reason. I need a man therapist, like this perspective, and it ended up being really good. And I really like my therapist. Like, he definitely helps me, and he definitely helped understand even the culture divide with me, you know, and with my parents. And it it was just very freeing. And at first I went in thinking I'm not going to say much, but it's like you're only hurting yourself if you don't. Like I feel like I have to say the truth, even though I don't want to sometimes. I have to say it all. And I'm like, you know, but how can I get help if I don't say the truth, you know? But it just I just like had it with everybody around me, and I was like, okay, I need to talk to somebody. And it's been good. It's been good. It's still a process. I think he's pretty shocked every time I talk to him still. Like, he's like, what? Like, okay. You know, like I say another part of my story and another part, and he's like, there's more. And I'm like, there's more. There's a lot. Okay.
He's like, I didn't realize this was going to be a chapter book.
Yeah. I know we were going to be here a year, almost a year later, and you're still going through things that you went through. And I'm like, wow, I didn't either. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. But it's good. It really helped, you know? And I think in, again, minority culture, we think it's a stigma to not speak about our feelings. And especially in men, I think men, and especially in Hispanic culture, like, you're supposed to be the man, you're supposed to be manly, you don't talk about your feelings. And I think it would really help a lot of us. Like, I think most of us need therapy.
Exactly.
You know?
I was just going to say, a lot of us have traumas to get over.
And even if you don't, I've even considered putting my daughters in therapy, because I think I don't know. I feel like our world is so crazy now. And I think the best way for our kids to get through this world now and this life is being able to talk about their feelings, and maybe just being able to have guidance from outside sources, not just, you know, what we think or how we want to raise you.
Because I mean, sometimes we don't even have the answers.
Because sometimes they can help you with guidance instead of it always being like just how we think they should live or be raised, you know? So
yeah. When you reflect on your journey and what it's taken you to get to the point where you are today, and you're a businesswoman, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're so many things. Did you ever think back then that you would be able to get to this point and look at yourself, you know, now and be in the position that you are now?
No. It's just crazy. I've had to learn to be proud of myself, you know, like I did come a long way. Like, I did make it pretty far. So, it's just crazy. I didn't think I'd ever be a businesswoman or, even be in this industry this long. You know, you just never know with life. And my life has been turned upside down so many times that,
was there any moments that you were just like, I'm done. Like, there's no getting out of this. This is just too hard for me to get up.
When I had my third daughter, that was difficult. That was another time, it was a starting over moment. At this point, I've already been successful. Like, people know who I am. I'm busy. I had my third daughter. I went on maternity leave, and I came back, and like I lost half of my clientele, and I was like, oh my God. Before I left, I had an assistant. I was like in a big suite. I was moving up to where I wanted to like have someone work for me, you know, like a little salon. And then it just came crashing down when I came back from maternity leave, and I had half my clientele gone, and I couldn't even barely pay my rent in my suite. Like, I was overdrafting every week. And I thought, oh my God, like, is this it? Did my time like run out? Like, am I need to move on, trying to figure out what I need else I can do? I don't even know what I would do. Like, this is all I know.
Dude,
So it was scary.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I've been through moments like that. And I mean, I haven't, like I said, I haven't been in this game for very long, but I've had several moments where I'm like, is this it? I mean, is this, there's times where I feel like I'm failing and I'm just like, I wonder if this is normal. I wonder if this is like the type of things that people go through and get over and still be successful.
Well, and for me, it's like, I have nothing to fall back on. Like, I don't know anything else but hair. So like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know. I don't even know how to really type. Like, what am I going to, like, I just was like, oh my God, like, how am I going to recover from this? Am I going to be able to build a clientele again? Like, I've been doing this a long time. Like, I felt like a failure because I felt like I'm going backwards now. Like, I got to downsize my suite. Like, you know, I got to find a cheaper rent. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is it. This is it. I'm just going to be like, I don't know, having to DoorDash or something on the side, because I was DoorDashing on the side for a while. Even recently when I had my third daughter, like, because I needed to supplement my income because I lost my clientele. So I just thought, what am I going to do?
How did you turn around that situation?
I just went back to square one. I started going back out there and networking, posting, collabing with people, just going back to the basics of what I know on how to network, and, using the people that I had in my network. It was like, you know what? That's what they're there for. Like, you help each other. So let me call on those people to see if they can help me get back, knowing that I'm taking clients, that so I moved to a single suite, and I rebranded myself as in focusing back on the client experience instead of trying to grow big and, have stylists and this and that. I was like, you know what, let me get back to me and why I do this, and back to the client, the experience in my suite. And it's okay. Like, it's okay that I went backwards and downsized and I don't have an assistant anymore. And, and then it just started going again and picking back up. And I was like, okay, see, calm down.
Everything was going to be okay.
Yeah. Like, you were thinking all crazy already. like you were going to have to go to school or something. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, yeah, like, I don't know, but it worked out, and it worked out for the best. And that's what I've learned in every situation I've been in. No matter how bad it gets, it always works out somehow, and it works out the way it was supposed to be. Everything really does happen or doesn't happen for a reason. That downfall with my baby, when I lost everything, had to come to a smaller suite and this and that enabled me to fix my schedule, not work weekends, and really focus on organizing my business better now. Like, really tapping into learning my business so I can really learn how to be successful even just by myself, So I don't know. I just kind of learned that it will work out no matter how bad things are. Like, just don't give up and just keep pushing, because you will get to where you're supposed to be. Like, I promise. Because there's times that I really thought, like, this is it. Like, I'm not where I want to be. It's horrible. And then I was like, wow, that's why that happened. Like, I had to go through that to get here.
Going back to when we were talking about the giving back to the community part that you enjoy so much and that you're so big on, tell me about Cut-a-thon. How was that born, and what can we expect for this coming one?
Well, I started it in 2019. And I had did it because, again, I was like, how can I help people? You can give people money or, and that's not really, that's going to help them for a little bit, like for a day or two, and I was like, how can I help someone something for their, like, for life? And so I was like, well, I remember, in this industry, people do cut-a-thons for different things. We do cut-a-thons to raise money for different charities. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do one for just to give someone help with their tuition. So I was just like, hey, I'm going to do some haircuts for donations. Does anybody want to help me? And does anybody want to join in with me? And that first year, I had about 4 vendors, 4 or 5, and I had another hairstylist and braider. Shout out to Bev. Bev's been my girl since day one, and she's done every cut-a-thon with me. And Gabby at the time had her Vice boutique, but it was a store. And she was like, I was going to do it in my suite. And she was like, you can come do it in my shop, like in my store, we'll move things around for you. And I was like, oh my God, okay. Like, that's amazing, And she let me do it there for free, like didn't charge me. And we had the little 5 vendors in there, and we were just in there cutting hair. And I told people, like, I'm going to cut hair for donation, but if you want to also donate, just to donate, you can. And people were sending money to it. And that little cut-a-thon raised like over $2,000.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, wow. I was shocked. I was like, that's crazy. Like, people just wanted to help. And then so we helped a Cosmo student finish school. Like, she was gonna drop out because she couldn't keep up with her payments. So we were able to help her so that she could stay and finish school. So that's
awesome.
So that was like, oh, okay. I just thought, like, like, that's it. Like, I'm just gonna, that's it, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I'm gonna do this anymore. I mean, I don't know. It was just like a kind of like a one-time thing. And people were like, oh, are you gonna do it again? Are you gonna do it next year? And I was like, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So then that's when I had met Jasmine at the first one, and then she was like, I'll help you. Like, I'll help you do the event, like plan it. And she knows how to organize events, because I don't. Like, I'm a procrastinator and I'm all over the place. Like, everything overwhelms me.
You're like, I just get the ideas and get inspired.
Yeah, even that little small cut-a-thon was a lot for me to deal with. I was like, oh my God. So I was like, okay, so that's how we met. And then she helped me with my second one and helped coordinate it and everything. And when I put it out there, like, I'm gonna do another cut-a-thon if you want to help cut. If there's any barbers now, I thought, well, if hairstylists can do it, I can have barbers come in, And that one, like, blew up. I had to get like a whole venue, like a big venue, because I thought I was gonna have like a little store or something again and just do it real quick. And that one blew up. We had like 15 vendors. I had like 3 or 4 hairstylists. A barber shop came in, and I was like, so then we were like, well, and then a DJ, she was like, oh, I'll come and DJ for you. And I was like,
how awesome.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, like, this is so crazy. Like, what? And it was huge.
At that point, are you thinking like, okay, this is something that I could keep doing? Let's keep going.
That one, yeah. Okay. It's because I'm an overthinker, right? So I always think like, okay, what if this is it? Like, okay, this one got big and that's it. Like, no one's going to do it again next year. I don't know. I'm just
always thinking crazy.
Yes. I always think the worst first. I don't know. Probably the trauma. I don't know. But I always think the worst first. And I'm like, well, this one went good, but okay, what if nobody wants to do it with me next year anymore? Cause I've already done it. But that one was crazy because that second one, the news came and talked to me. They saw it on social media. I was like, what? That's when we named it Cut-a-thon by a Blonde, because at first it was just called Cut-a-thon. Like, I didn't know like what to name it. And a friend of mine, he's a big like barber. He was a barber and now he's a big, like, he goes all over the world. And he was like, no, you should do it off your brand. Like, your hair by a blonde, name it Cut-a-thon by a Blonde. And I was like, okay. So it like caught on, and that one we raised over $4,000, and that was right before COVID hit, because that was February 2020. And so that that one was really amazing. And I was like, dang, I think I can do this every year. So we just kept it on, and now we're at our 5th year.
Congratulations.
Yes. It's been a challenge, but it's, in the end, it all comes together, and it's like, wow, like the community comes and helps, and it's just crazy. But yeah, so now we're on number 5 this month, actually, which is, oh my God, I didn't realize that. In like,
yes,
what, like
we are in February
like
already.
25 days or 23 days. I don't know.
So give us all the details.
So it's going to be, so we usually have it on the south side because, like I said, I love the south side. But this year we decided to take it downtown, just to kind of get it more in the middle of San Antonio, more central, so we can get all areas to come out there. It's going to be downtown at Sweet Dreams Event Center. It's right next to like Lucky Doug, Bentley's. It's right there on that street. And this year it's going to be really cool. This is the first year we actually are going to have a performance.
What?
Yeah, we have like a local group, and they're
How
going to,
cool.
yeah. So I think it's really cool because we get to showcase like local businesses, local
so it's
people.
not even just about hair now. It's like showcasing other talent around town.
Yeah, and then we have Cherry the barber coming in. She's a big barber influencer. She's been a really cool person to really be like talk to. She's definitely helped me so much just with my cut-a-thon. And that's what I love about business and networking in the industries, is because like we met each other just, knowing the same people. And she's been so helpful with my cut-a-thon and telling me like, hey, like, come on, ask for sponsors, like do this, do that. And I'm like, thanks. And then we have then Cool Cuts Barbershop is coming in. D Nice Barbershop, she's bringing her whole shop in. And I have, stylists coming in. And it's, people need to realize like these people come in on their day off and they're literally donating these haircuts.
Yeah.
So you're donating for a haircut and it's all going to the scholarship. So we're doing these haircuts for us for free, for no profit, and usually Sundays are our only day off. So, and they're coming in to cut and do services. It's also a great way to shop local because we bring in a lot of local businesses, vendors that sell merchandise. So you get to see them all in one place. We have food and, dancing with the DJ, music. So it's just like a family friendly, like market. I don't know,
So is this open to the public?
Yes, it's open to the public. It's free. There's no.
It's free?
Yeah, there's no entry. Like
okay.
no, like there's no ticket you got to buy or anything.
Yeah.
You just go in, and like when you like it makes me. I did it like the way when I was young and we'd go to the flea market. When you go to the flea market and it's like so fun and like there's just so much things going on and so much to do.
Yeah,
like
you buy your vaso de elote while you're walking around.
Yeah, that's what you do. Like you come get a haircut and then walk around, and like and dance and and meet people and it's all to raise money for this scholarship. Everything we raise, we put it towards the scholarship. So,
is there a goal for this year?
I'm really hoping to raise $6,000 because then I can probably split it in 2 and give it to 2 people. Because it's so hard. I don't pick the winner because I can't. Like when I read people's stories, so the way you enter it is you write an essay to our email, cutathonbyablonde@gmail.com. And I have a panel of people read them and then they vote on who deserves the money. Like we want to know your story, you know, like and why you deserve the money. But I can't pick because it's
tough. I can only imagine.
It is, especially some of the I'm not like super emotional all the time or anything. But last year or the year before, there was actually one that made me cry. Like when I was reading it and I was like, wow, yeah, I can't pick. Nope. Like I need unbiased eyes to pick these people. So I really hope to give it to 2 because I do feel bad for the people that we don't give it to, but it's like, I'm sorry, I don't have that much, but my ultimate goal is to one day, we're working on hopefully making it an actual nonprofit. And then that way I can get big sponsors where it's like an actual scholarship that could possibly give it to multiple people. and pay their full tuition, like where they don't have to pay anything, so
It's going to happen.
I hope so. I'm hoping, because it is difficult. Like, this year, I have to say, was probably the most difficult one. And I don't know why, but it was. I think this year, maybe because we have high hopes for it and such big expectations, it's been very challenging. And just trying to get like the community this time around. Like, we definitely got a lot of like people coming out and helping, but it was kind of tough getting them like, come on, like you want, like, do you want to help out? Do you want to be a vendor? Do you want to, but in the end, like it all came together and we got everything we needed, but it was a little rough at the beginning for this one. I don't know why. Maybe because just everyone in general is having a difficult time right now, just with the economy and, situations. But I'm really hoping that we can raise like at least $6,000 this year.
I'm glad that hasn't discouraged you.
It almost did. it did. It almost did this year.
Again, if you've overcome all the things that you've overcome, I'm sure that you can get over this.
Yeah, I know. But I definitely had moments where I was like, after this, I'm not doing it no more. Like, it was making me like angry. I don't know. It was making me super angry for some things, because I was like, like, come on now. Like, y'all be throwing money in the club. Y'all can throw a little money to some charity, like,
yeah.
But I just had to calm down and like, you know what? It's all right. It's going to work out.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much. I was so excited about this episode.
Me too.
And it had been
so
in the
excited.
works for several weeks, and
Yes.
I'm glad that you accepted the invitation to be here.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I feel so honored when you reached out. I was like, oh, yes. No, but I really appreciate you having me and, letting me share a little bit about my story. I know sometimes it's a little long, but I appreciate you, just letting all of us just share what we've been through, and hopefully it helps someone that feels like they're in the same position and they can't get out of it,
Definitely.
So
How do
I
we
think
find
you
you
do
on
that.
social media?
Everything is Hair by a Blonde. So Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. TikTok's still kind of new to me, so it's but everything's Hair by a Blonde everywhere you go, all day, every day. People call me that, because my name's kind of hard to say, so they're like, oh, Hair by a Blonde. I'm like, that's me.
Once again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Thank you for listening, for watching. Please subscribe, YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, wherever you're listening to us or wherever you're watching for us. And remember that this episode was brought to you by Savage Coffee, now located inside the Boeing Center at Techport. And we're done.
Yay.
That was good. Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
I was really super excited about this episode.
Me too.